Welcome back to another JJ in the Field. Timely agronomic tips when needed most. I'm Jonah Johnson. So today we're of course in a cornfield again. We have bright sunny skies and the wind's blowing pretty fair. Temperatures this week are relaxed compared to last week. You know, last week we were battling the north of 90 degrees and it was just exceptionally hot and nothing was happy last week. So the question of this week is so I applied my nitrogen by side dressed underground doesn't matter what source you use. I've also top dressed, whether it's a urea or an AMS blend, and I spread that last week, or it's going to happen at today, tomorrow, the next day, what have you. We're hoping to have some rain here over the weekend. By the time you see this, hopefully that you had occurred and had a nice rain shower. But essentially the question is, so I applied top dress my urea or AMS blend, what's the destiny out there if I did not use a stabilizer? So first of all, if you did inject any type of nitrogen solution or a gas via ammonia, UAN, what have you, I have no concerns whatsoever in regards to that right now. So once we get some more moisture in the soil, whether your application process was a wide drop, injection in the center, deviations of all the above, no concerns at the current time about that. So back to the top dress application. Let's say you did not use a stabilizer. If we first address the stabilization, a lot of growers are asking. Now this can vary depending on your vendor of choice that you use for your NBPT. That is a above ground stabilizer. So if you think about how the way that works, urease is a natural enzyme in our soils, and then also if you're like, let's say, a hay grower, there's a tremendous amount of urease enzyme in active growing biomass. So the urease enzyme attacks that urea prill and essentially begins to break it down. And so if we're on top of the soil surface, let's say, or haven't been incorporated in any regards, it starts to break that down, and eventually we'll release it as ammonia gas into the atmosphere if it's not incorporated or protected before it can get incorporated. And so that being said, our soils, as our prills lay on top of the ground, when it is protected by the NBPT product, now again, if there's multiple different concentrations, different blends of what have you. So again, if you had chosen Sunrise to treat your urea and apply that, you would have had N-Save Pro, and that would buy you 14 to 21 days of time to sit above the soil surface before a rain event could incorporate that into the soil. So hopefully that you did that, and we'll be in a good spot awaiting a welcoming rain. The ultimate question of the day is, how much time do I have essentially of that urea prill unprotected without an NBPT stabilizer sitting on top of the soil conditions under the current environmental conditions? How long do I have? What am I looking at? So if you look at a lot of university data and private industry data, if you put a prill on top of the soil surface and we had some moisture in the soil, that urease enzyme, if it has enough to do its job, it's going to start chewing on the urea prill immediately, okay? But right now, 99% of the guys, the soils are exceptionally dry. So that urease enzyme is not going to be very active, if anything. So that urea prill will sit on top of the soil. Now the problem is, you think again, just like we're here today, we have exceptionally bright sunlight, intense UV radiation. Even though temperature is not as hot, it's going to get warmer here into next week. So ultimately, you're wondering, how much time do I have before I lose my investment? So typically when we look at high temperatures, so let's go temperature first, we have 90-degree environments within 10 days because of the long term. A lot of guys are asking, it's been sitting out there a while, or it will sit out for a while. About 10 days, we get 80, 90-degree days. You're looking about 20% nitrogen loss as a volatilization, ammonia loss into the atmosphere. So it's going to happen pretty quick. Now it's not going to lose everything, but you can kind of see a stepwise production. The longer it lays out unprotected, it's a bad deal. Now if we take this, it's also pH dependent as well. So if you have soils that range from mid sixes up to 7.5 and above, that also impacts the volatilization process. So again, if we go with that 10-day, you're going to lose up to, again, 40-50% of that via volatilization, because that will start essentially to break that down. So hopefully we get a rain if you did not have nitrogen laying on top of the soil surface right now, and we can get incorporation. Now the good news is that we're starting to see fogs and dews start to come back into essentially the microclimate down around where our crops are growing. That will also, that moisture, that urea prill will absorb that and start to break down and move into the soil. Now granted, we'd like some moisture, the upper soil profile, to get that in, because once urea gets in the ground, it actually becomes quite stable for a while, till the urease enzymes start to break down, and then once it gets in the ground, the nitrobacter, nitromonas bacteria essentially are going to want to convert that from the stable form into a nitrate type of form that, again, is actively uptaken by the plant. So hope that helped answer some of your questions in regards to timing and how much you have. Hopefully, again, by the time you see this, all these worries will be gone. We'll get a rain event. But until then, if you have further questions, feel free to find us on pctnutrients.com. I'm Jonah Johnson. Thanks for watching.